Mark Rayner had moved into Willow Creek Estates for one reason: peace. The place looked like a postcard. Perfect lawns, glittering driveways, and neighbors who waved just enough to seem friendly. Everything ran on order, appearance, and unspoken competition. But no one enforced that order more ruthlessly than Linda Holbrook, the HOA board's self-appointed queen. She wore her power like perfume, strong, suffocating, impossible to ignore. Every chipped mailbox or uneven hedge was a personal insult to her kingdom. Mark learned that firsthand the day he installed solar panels. Linda showed up within the hour, clipboard in hand. "Those aren't co-approved," she said, lips curling. "We maintain aesthetic harmony here." He smiled politely, choosing peace over argument. But as she strutted away, he couldn't shake the feeling that this neighborhood wasn't run by rules. It was ruled by her. What Mark didn't know yet was that Linda's obsession with control extended beyond lawns and lighting. Soon, she'd start controlling something far more valuable: his electricity. It started small. A slightly higher bill one month. A subtle flicker in the porch lights late at night. Mark brushed it off. Maybe his new smart thermostat was glitching. But the next bill made his jaw drop, nearly double the usual cost. Then one evening, while taking out the trash, he noticed a thin orange extension cord snaking from his outdoor outlet, straight across the hedges into Linda's driveway. Her Tesla sat there, charging quietly under the moonlight. He followed the cord, disbelief hardening into fury. She was stealing his power. The next morning, he confronted her. Linda didn't flinch. "Oh, Mark, relax," she said, waving dismissively. "It's just a little juice. You've got solar panels. You're practically printing electricity." Her tone was so smug it almost stunned him. When he threatened to report it, she smiled sweetly. "Go ahead. I am the HOA board." That was the moment something changed in Mark. He wasn't just angry, he was curious. Because if Linda thought she could abuse her position to steal from him, she was about to learn what happens when you mess with the wrong neighbor. Mark didn't go to the HOA. He knew how that would end. Linda controlled every vote, every decision. Instead, he went to work quietly. He installed a smart power monitor on his outdoor socket and linked it to his phone. Every time Linda plugged in her Tesla, it logged the usage. For 3 weeks straight, she drained power between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m., over $600 worth of electricity. Mark gathered photos, timestamp videos, and consumption data. The evidence was airtight, but revenge needed patience. If he exposed her too soon, she'd spin it. She'd cry victim, call him a liar, maybe even fine him for harassment. Instead, Mark planned something poetic: justice that would sting exactly where it hurt, her precious car. So while Linda paraded around at HOA meetings bragging about her eco-friendly lifestyle, Mark was in his garage soldering wires, checking circuits, and whispering to himself, "You wanted power, Linda. Let's see how much you can handle." Mark's background as an electrical engineer was about to pay off. He built a controlled surge circuit, harmless to his home, but deadly to any unapproved connection. The idea was simple. Anyone plugging into his outdoor outlet without the proper grounding key would trigger a voltage spike strong enough to trip every safety fuse inside their equipment. It wouldn't cause a fire, wouldn't hurt anyone, but it would fry electronics instantly. He tested it carefully, isolating his solar setup so no power could backfeed. The readings came back perfect. That night, Mark waited by his window. At exactly 11:07 p.m., Linda appeared, wearing her silk robe, phone to her ear. She dragged her orange extension cord across the yard, plugged into his outlet, and smirked as her Tesla's charge ring began to glow. Mark opened his phone app. His finger hovered over the virtual switch. For a brief moment, he hesitated. This was petty, maybe too far. Then he remembered her laugh, her arrogance, her words, "I am the HOA board." He tapped the screen. A flash. A sharp pop. The Tesla's lights flickered, then died completely. Linda screamed, dropping her phone. Smoke curled from the charging port. Mark leaned back in his chair, whispering, "Power restored." The next morning, chaos buzzed through the neighborhood group chat. "Linda's Tesla won't start," someone posted. "Battery totally dead," another replied. By noon, the tow truck arrived. The once glorious car sat lifeless, its sleek body reflecting the crowd's curious faces. The dealership's verdict? Battery unit fried. Replacement cost $14,000. Linda was livid. She stormed from door to door, accusing everyone of sabotage. When she reached Mark's porch, her fury was volcanic. "You," she hissed. "You did something to my car." Mark blinked innocently. "Linda, you plugged into my power line. Maybe your fancy charger couldn't handle the load." Her jaw tightened, but she couldn't prove anything. He'd isolated every circuit, erased all traces of tampering. By evening, the HOA chat went silent. The Queen had fallen, and no one dared defend her. That night, Mark scrolled through the power logs. Every amp, every second, neatly recorded. He saved the file in a hidden folder labeled insurance. If she ever tried to retaliate, he'd unleash the truth. For now, he simply smiled and muttered, "Sleep tight, Your Highness." A week later, Linda called an emergency HOA meeting at the clubhouse. She arrived late, dramatic as always, and slammed her binder on the table. "My car was sabotaged," she declared. "Someone in this community attacked me." The board members shifted uncomfortably. Most had been victims of her bullying for years. One finally asked, "Do you have proof, Linda?" She glared around her room. "It's obvious who did it. Mark Rayner. He's been jealous of me since day one." Mark stood calmly. "Actually," he said, tapping his tablet, "I have something to show everyone." The screen filled with clear night vision footage. Linda dragging her cord across his yard, plugging into his outlet, smirking as her Tesla charged. Gasps filled the room. The HOA president leaned back, arms folded. "Looks like theft of service, Linda," he said. "You're suspended from the board pending investigation." Linda's face went pale. She grabbed her bag and stormed out, muttering curses. The silence she left behind was almost peaceful. The investigation revealed even more. Linda hadn't just stolen from Mark, she'd been siphoning power from 3 other homes too. The pattern was undeniable. Police cited her for theft and property damage. The HOA forced a resignation. Neighbors who once feared her now exchanged amused smiles as her Tesla sat in the driveway like a dead monument to arrogance. Mark stayed quiet, letting the storm pass. He didn't need to brag. Karma had done the work. Weeks later, the HOA president stopped by. "We're implementing new green energy policies," he said. "And we'd like your help, Mark. You clearly know your way around power systems." For the first time, Mark laughed genuinely. The man they once ignored for unapproved solar panels was now the one shaping the neighborhood's future. And as for Linda, she sold the Tesla, her pride and joy, just to pay off the fines. The HOA queen had finally been dethroned by her own greed. Months later, peace truly returned to Willow Creek. Mark received a refund check from the utility company for overestimated billing, a small victory, but poetic. One evening, while sipping coffee on his porch, he watched a moving truck pull away from Linda's house. She was gone, the last trace of drama leaving with her. The streetlights flickered on, calm and even once again. Mark glanced at his outdoor outlet, now sealed and locked with a gleaming metal cover. "Guess she finally learned," he said softly. "You can't steal someone else's charge forever." The wind hummed through the solar panels above, a faint electric whisper of triumph. For the first time in months, the neighborhood felt exactly as advertised. Quiet, efficient, and perfectly powered.